Welcome to Beyond Investments with your host, Seth Leishman of Ostrofe Financial Consultants. Information provided is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but its accuracy and completeness are not guaranteed. Neither LPL Financial nor the hosts of this show or accept any liability for the use of the information discussed. Consult with a qualified financial, legal, or tax professional prior to taking any action. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Ostrofe Financial Consultants, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial. Today's guest, Rick Fisher, is a financial advisor with Ostrofe Financial Consultants, National Planning member SIPC. And now, Beyond Investments, here's your host, Seth Leishman.
Good morning, and welcome to Beyond Investments here on News Talk KNCO, AM 830. School is all the way back in session. The fair is over. That Wednesday last week, traffic jam on McCourtney was brutal.
I think even I avoided usually because our anniversary is on the 10th.
Yes.
Opening the fair. Usually we go at night. We don't go during the day.
Yeah.
Because we don't have kids anymore. But this year we thought about it. And
well, you still have kids. They're not young anymore.
They're not young anymore. They're all grown. They're all grown. If they want to go to the fair, if Daniel wants to go to the fair, he can go to the fair.
That's right.
I don't think he did. But we chose not to this year, and we didn't miss it.
Right.
But we should like to see the animals, and you usually run into some friends, which is always fun.
You're always going to run into somebody. Luckily, I didn't go on Wednesday, which was apparently the busiest day, certainly for traffic. I did go on Thursday and spent some time. Took the kids. They had a great time doing the rides and that kind of stuff there. I got on a couple of them.
Oh, did you?
Hadn't been on a.
Were you dared by your children, or you just felt young?
No, I was dared. Owen, my 12-year-old, said, Dad, let's go. We're going to go on this one called Fireball. And I said, all right, let's do it. And he's like, okay, let's go.
All right.
So we did Fireball, and it does a loop, right? And then it does a loop the other direction.
You're making me nauseous just explaining it.
So for part of it, you're facing the going in a loop, and then part of it's backwards.
Yes, I've been on that ride.
Oh.
It's been a while.
It's been a little while, and I love roller coasters. Loved going to Magic Mountain, Six Flags growing up. I mean, I don't get car sick. I don't get motion sickness. So I've always loved it. But I will tell you, it's been more than 10 years since I've been on a ride that goes even upside down.
Yeah. It's amazing. You have to get after 30 and 40, all of a sudden your tolerance for certain things disappears.
And I had just stopped off and gotten one of those giant soft serve ice creams, maybe 10 minutes before. Nothing came back.
Thank
goodness. I could tell I was a
little queasy.
I was a little queasy. A little crazy. But I was feeling it. The one that scared me even bigger though was the ship one that goes back and forth. It goes left and right.
Yep.
Because I just kept thinking this thing's going so far to the, if we were swinging to the right, I'm thinking we're just going to keep going. It's not going to stop.
Well, does it go all the way?
And then it goes up and around all the way around like that. But you don't go upside down, but you feel, you're doing this up thing. I don't know. It was fun though. Great. I saw a lot more, something that I noticed was there were a lot more food vendors and booths outside of Treat Street.
Oh, okay. But that were run by by Butler Amusements, or
no, just anybody. A bunch of local people. There was a great barbecue place actually called M. You're gonna love this play on words. The letter M,
right?
The letter T,
okay.
Stomach.
Empty stomach. Got it. Yeah, okay. It took me a second.
Yeah, and they do catering. They're local and everything. It was great. It was great because they were. I love Treat Street. And
speaking
I love
of Treat Street,
so
tell me, I still to this day do not understand the loyalty and fervor of Job's hot daughter's corn dogs. I'd like a good corn dog. They are the best corn dogs.
They are.
Is it worth the wait in line? Whether you can get one of Butler Amusements corn dogs, which are not as good. Agreed.
They're not as good.
But is it worth waiting 30 or 40 or an hour in line? How long was the line? Was it a standard long line?
It depended on the time of day.
30 or 40 people
if
deep?
if you swung by there about 3 in the afternoon, there may be 3 people in line. It was empty.
Yeah, but between 12 and 1?
You try to show up at lunchtime, you're probably 45 minutes. And then definitely in the evening, as soon as it hit about 5, 6 o'clock, it was slammed all the way till close, basically.
Just amazing.
I think the Job's Daughters corn dogs this year were $7. The Butler's was $12.
Okay.
$12 for a corn dog. Wow. So you actually save quite a bit of money going to the Job's Daughters. Actually,
I never really looked at the prices of either ones when I was late in line. So
yeah, they're the Job's Daughters are worth it. I've never waited more than half an hour. I'll just kind of cruise by it. Is there anything happening? Is the line short? Then I'll get one. Like this year, I never got one because every time I was there, the line was super long, and I went, no, I'm just not willing to stand there. And
I usually go to the Methodist and get a brat.
Yeah,
I love my bratwurst.
You can go over there. Or go. Alan Ostrofe. Alan was here in town.
I know. Being a knight myself, I should have gone there, but I'd rather have a brat than a burger.
He was running the grill on. I think it was Wednesday night.
Yeah, I saw the picture of him and Rich Reeder.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He and Rich. So Fair Week was great. It was very successful. I had the pleasure of attending the junior livestock auction on Sunday.
Were you a judge or you just
Sunday morning?
It?
I attended and bought. Oh, I was a buyer. Yeah.
Are we going to have a company barbecue?
We will in about a month and a half. Okay. Because it's going to be about a month and a half before I get the meat back. But I did buy 2 pigs. Okay. A sheep and a turkey. So they don't have very many turkeys. That's not a big one that kids do.
I wouldn't think so.
There were 4 or 5 turkeys, and one of the turkeys was raised by a boy that was on my son's baseball team this last year. So I wanted to help out there. But yes, we'll have lots of pork around the office now because I got 2 whole pigs.
Alrighty, sounds great.
Let's dive right in though.
Okay,
what do we got for us today?
We got some trivia.
Very good.
And then we're going to talk a little bit about China.
Yes,
so there's a lot of news about China today.
A lot of news about China hitting the wire.
So a lot of things happened on August 15th.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's quite a bit. So, but we'll start with 2000 and financial because this is a financial show.
Yes.
The U.S. Securities Exchange Commission adopts Regulation FD for fair disclosure, which prohibits public companies from leaking material information to select analysts without letting the general public know at the same time. Wall Street reacts with howls of indignation, but in the end, Regulation FD actually forces at least a few analysts to try something new. Actually analyze the companies they supposedly have been studying all along. I love it.
Love it.
1982, Wall Street is a wreck, reports the New York Times in the long, grim autopsy called Dark Days on Wall Street. The article warns, quote, in the past 2 weeks, all the market averages have plunged to new lows as Wall Street, beset by cruel economic news from all sides, has time after time been unable to mount a sustained rally. That is discouraging.
Yeah, go ahead.
That is a discouraging omen, an indication that the bottom has not yet been reached. Many security analysts say, Many securities analysts say, and a sign that even the most steel-willed optimist may be able to throw in the towel. Nobody can tell if we're starting a depression or ending one. Using mutual fund manager who asked to remain anonymous,
of course,
the market is gone is one giant gamble. Unfortunately for the people who believe what they read in the newspapers, one of the greatest bull markets in history has begun just 2 days later. Wow. The nightmare is already over, but no one has realized it.
Wow. That was obviously 3 months after I was born. I was 82, August of 82. I was born in May. So brought about a bull run.
Right. So when they were calling that the worst is yet to come, it was the bottom.
It was the bottom, pretty much. That's it.
Moving on to going back to 1971, alarmed at inflation, which we can relate to that, which is running at roughly a 4.5% annual rate.
Oh dear.
President Richard M. Nixon issues an executive order declaring a 90-day freeze on wages and prices. Bad mistake.
That was not a good idea.
No, it was not. Every action I have taken tonight, declares Nixon on television speech, is designed to nurture and stimulate competitive spirit, to help snap us out of the self-doubt as we blaze the trail toward the new prosperity. Within 3 years, inflation is at a record 12.2%, and the nation is in its worst recession since 1929.
Yep. That's what happens when government gets involved with wages in particular.
1929, Leonard P. Ayres of Cleveland Trust Company, one of the nation's leading business economists, declares that this is truly a new era in which formerly well-established standards of value for securities no longer retain their old significance. Like most people who have declared any period to be a new era, Ayres turns out to be wrong, and it's 2 months later the stock market crashes, ushering in the Great Depression. The lesson here, folks, is the market's going to do, when it seems like it's the worst, it's probably the starting of something good.
Right.
And if it's really, really easy and everything's going perfect, watch out. Things are going to turn.
Yes.
Moving on to baseball. Well, moving into sports. Okay.
Yes.
So 1965, Japanese community of San Francisco holds a Masanori Murakami Day at Candlestick Park to honor the first Japanese player to play in the major leagues.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And, okay, where are we here? Sorry. 1993. What do you think happened in Nolan Ryan. His 324th and final victory.
Okay.
Going to, there wasn't a lot of sports. There was a lot of golf stuff, but it was
like, and he ended with I think his last strikeout was a couple days before that, though, right?
I don't remember.
Okay. Oh no, his last win was 300. That was his last win.
Yeah, that was his final victory. Correct.
His final victory. Yeah. Okay, so it wasn't too much longer though after that he retired.
Right, exactly. He would probably retired that year, so he had probably a few more starts, and maybe they didn't go well. No decisions, losses.
Right. Yes.
That's his final victory.
Scherzer there on the who just got moved to the Rangers. Right.
Right.
Texas Rangers. Mm-hmm. More than 50, an ERA at least, I think it was 3 or less, or 3.5 or less, and at least 15 strikeouts in his first 2 games. The only other pitcher to do that for the Rangers, Nolan Ryan.
Wow, I didn't know that. I haven't been following Scherzer since he left the Dodgers.
Yeah, it was interesting to see what would happen after the Mets moved him.
Yep. Moving on to music trivia.
Yes.
1976. ABBA released Dancing Queen as the lead single from their 4th studio album, Arrival. Dancing Queen, which has the working title of Boogaloo, went to top the charts in more than a dozen countries, including the United States, where it became ABBA's only #1 hit. 1969, the Woodstock Festival was held at Max Yasgur's 600-acre farm in Bethel, New York. Attended by over 400,000 people, the event featured Jimi Hendrix, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Santana, The Who, Creedence Clearwater Revival, The Grateful Dead, Janis Joplin, and a bunch of other people.
Right.
During the 3 days there were 3 deaths, 2 births, and 4 miscarriages.
Wow.
1965, the Beatles set a new world record for the largest attendance at a pop concert when they played in front of 55,600 fans at Shea Stadium in New York City. The Beatles were paid $160,000 for the show. And the set list included songs like Twist and Shout, I Feel Fine, Dizzy Miss Lizzy, Ticket to Ride, Can't Buy Me Love, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Let's see. 1960, Elvis Presley started a 5-week run at #1 on the U.S. singles chart with It's Now or Never. Also #1 in the UK, the song, which was based on the Italian song O Sole Mio, gave Presley his first post-Army #1 hit. In general history, lots of independence calls.
Yeah.
1947, after 3 decades, the Indian independence movement led by Mahatma Gandhi achieved its goal, and on this day, as a free and independent India was established after nearly 200 years of English rule. In 1971, Bahrain proclaimed independence from the United Kingdom. 1960, the Republic of the Congo gained independence from France. 1948, Syngman Rhee announced the establishment of the Republic of Korea, South Korea. So Korea was one nation split in 2.
Correct.
And then in 2021, unfortunately, the Taliban regained control of Kabul of Afghanistan as U.S. troops withdrew from the country. So that is it for trivia today.
Wonderful, wonderful, Rick. We're going to come back and talk about a lot of the headlines and a lot of the news that's talking about China. There's been a lot going on.
Yeah,
economically, of course, is what we're focused on. Been a lot going on recently, and some uncertainty, some things that have been coming out about predictions for the future and whatnot. Not that we're going to make any predictions, but we're just looking at what the forward-looking things look like and some of the changes that have been happening there in China economically. We're going to be right back. You're listening to Beyond Investments right here on News Talk, KNCO, AM 830.
Today's guest, Rick Fisher, is a financial advisor with Ostrofe Financial Consultants, National Planning Member SIPC.
Well, welcome back to Beyond Investments here on News Talk, KNCO, AM 830. Rick, let's talk China.
Okay, first I want to talk. So, when I do my morning market update.
Yep.
So the first thing I do is I get on the phone and see what the three averages are doing.
That's right.
And then if they were down a sizable amount this morning.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to know, okay, what is the catalyst of this?
That's right.
So I look in the news portion, and it's the first thing I see is retail sales were better than expected, which you would think would be good news.
Right.
Then I remember thinking, oh yeah, but then investors think that the Fed's going to raise interest rates, and that's why the market's going down.
Right.
But I said, but that seems like a big drop just for that reason.
Yeah, big stretch there.
Then I kept on reading, and then China had announced that they are lowering their interest rates.
Yes.
And so why do you lower interest rates? When the times you do it is when you want to get more people spending and borrowing. So
that's right. You're trying to spur growth. That's concerning if they're trying to spur growth by lowering interest rates.
Right, but here we're doing the opposite because
Yes.
we're trying to curb inflation.
Right. Right.
So then there's, we do some research. They're saying, okay, there's other worries in China as well. So
Yep.
they're just coming out of one of their COVID epidemics.
Yes.
And we know what that kind of havoc that can wreak.
Absolutely.
Also, they noted that manufacturing and their economy is starting to slow. So it's still growing, and it's growing at 4.5%, which for us we'd love to be at 4.5%.
Of course.
But it was growing at 12%.
Yes, and that's the concern.
And so it's the trend that people are worried about. So maybe China has peaked in its trend, and then if you go into difficulties and some of the things they have done, obviously you have a controlled economy.
That's right. Yes,
Okay.
communist,
and a lot of people have talked about those ghost cities.
That's right. Yes.
So right now their real estate market is precarious.
Precarious is a very kind way to describe that. Yes.
And if you've ever seen these pictures, these high-rise buildings and streets,
Yes.
they built whole cities, and there's nobody in them.
Yes, there's whole cities, like enough to house millions of people.
And so if you look at demographically, so with China back in 1980, they started the one-child policy.
Yes.
Okay, I think they stopped that in 2012, so they don't have that now. But that 20 plus years that they had it, obviously there was very few children born.
Yes.
So if you look at a healthy demographic economy, will have most of its, the bottom rung will be young people.
Right.
And then there will be a little bit middle-aged people will be kind of in the middle, and you'll have relatively few old people in the economy.
That's right.
That way there's, the young people can support the people above them.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at China's, there's just as many young people as there are old people.
Wow.
And so that's going to make a challenge. So now, now
Yes.
they reported that the youth unemployment and youth in 16 to 24
Okay. 16 to 24.
reached another record high. The jobless rate for those 16 to 24 reached 21.3% in June.
That's so
breaking
high.
the previous record of 20.8 set in May. So you have the economy slowing, unemployment rising. The people are worried about the trend. So
Yes.
because obviously China's imports have shrunk almost 7%,
Right.
and their exports fell 12% in June.
Wow.
So
Not good.
and right now there's talk that Xi Jinping is consolidating power.
Yes. Yes.
He also has been obviously trying to upgrade their military, their
Yep.
navy. There's concerns that they steal our technology.
Uh-huh.
I guess it's bad news, good news. But when you dig a little deeper, you find out that their chip manufacturing is basic chips, nothing sophisticated like we do here.
That's right.
And even their navy is good for shallow water, but it's not a deep sea navy. So,
Right.
but if their target is Taiwan, which that's the concern,
Right. Very big concern there.
and hopefully, a lot of times when things get really tough for the the people.
Yes.
A lot of times governments say, well, let's distract them. Let's go to war.
Yes. Gee, I wonder where they learned that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are some big challenges.
Yeah, there really is.
But we have to remember also that usually things are not as dire as they seem when they start reporting things. And we'll see in a few months. Hopefully, again, I don't think anyone's going to help China, because usually if your adversary is having issues, you let them have issues. You don't try to bail them out.
No.
What our president's going to do, I have no idea.
Yes. This is going to be an interesting dynamic to see what happens, because
if those ties that have been what's the word? The ties that this administration has had with China in the past.
Yes.
Is that going to be used to
the familial ties?
Yes.
We'll just leave it at that. The ties were very tight and financially beneficial. China slowing down does affect us, though. So there is a not just a potential, but
a contagion.
It could be a contagion. It absolutely can be. We do rely still. I mean, as much as under President Trump, we massively increased our manufacturing here in the U.S. We did,
which we should continue to do.
We just really got to continue, because if you still look around, that's still, of course, a significant, if not, well, of course, the vast, vast, vast majority of product has a made in China stamp on the bottom of it. It does. And a China slowdown, certainly economically, especially if it's not just a slowdown in the amount of growth, but all the way to a Chinese recession. Absolutely, I think that we would all be worried about a contagion. Being that they are the second largest economy in the world next to us.
Yep.
It could absolutely spread and cause major ripple effects. Not just a little drop, with a little ripple from a drop, but you're talking a pretty big wave of contagion there.
And if the people are unhappy, because recessions are not fun to go through, and even in this country, let alone if you've got 20% of the youth unemployed.
Yep.
Are they going to cause trouble? And we have seen.
That's right.
We have seen what the communists will do when those things happen. They crack down, and
yes,
of course, we don't see everything because they have a closed society. And
correct.
I think I even heard that they're not going to even report the unemployment rate anymore after this, because it's getting so bad that
they just say, "Forget it. We're not going to let you guys know." Yes. Well, that's what happens when you don't live in a free society, a truly free society, right? A lot of the information is controlled and filtered. Mm-hmm. Right, or even just withheld.
But that's kind of happening here, unfortunately.
It kind of is, isn't it? So
again, talking about Hunter Biden and his father have been in the news.
Yep.
With special counsels, and supposedly we've had all this data. We have all this data and evidence, but it's not getting to trial because people are dragging their feet,
correct,
waiting for
other distractions.
Distractions.
Let's try to find some more distractions.
And it gets very frustrating. It's like, if there's evidence, let's get this done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of indicting a former president again.
Right. Yes. Goodness gracious.
Again, if they both did something wrong, then indict both of them. But to have the media say Trump is bad and no Biden, we don't worry about Biden.
We don't worry about that. Don't worry. He was just helping family. That was a recent little kind of excuse. He's just a father. Give him a break. He's just a father trying to help his son, as if doing things massively illegal, and as if that's okay when it's your family. When I think about China and think about the future growth there, you're absolutely right. You brought up Taiwan. That is something that I think bodes discussion further in the future. Here is some of the risks that are involved for poor Taiwan there. Being its own sovereign nation, and having the second largest power in the world not recognize you as a sovereign nation.
Yep.
After all these years, is something to be cognizant of. Because I think your analysis of that is right. When you're looking for a distraction, Taiwan's right there.
Yeah.
Nothing quicker and easier than throwing something kind of a military action to distract people away from bad news or bad headlines or other things that are going on. you jump right into something like that, and that's a quick way to distract people. But this is something we're going to need to watch closely over the next several months, if not years, even, right? As we come out of this presidential election next year, we'll see what various candidates say in their stance for what will be their future stance when it comes to China.
I think the first debate's coming up soon, isn't it?
I think so. I think I saw something about that. So that'll be very interesting to see because this is making more and more headlines. China is making more and more headlines. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. As we wrap up here, I want to encourage all you listeners out there, if you'd like to learn more and if you'd like to go back and listen to any previous show, we do have several up on our website at ostrofinancial.com. You click on the news link, and that's where you'll find those. And as always, if you'd like to learn more about what we do and how we take care of our clients, please give us a call at 273-4425 and come experience the difference when you think beyond investments.
Bye, folks.
Information provided is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but its accuracy and completeness are not guaranteed. Neither LPL Financial nor the hosts of this show or accept any liability for the use of the information discussed. Consult with a qualified financial, legal, or tax professional prior to taking any action. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Ostrofe Financial Consultants, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.